Hi, I'm Andre Hewitt, and welcome to this special interview here on SKN Newsline as we are delving into issues locally here at home and also abroad. As you know, we cover things quite comprehensively here at SKN Newsline. Today, we have two special guests, and we're looking at a regional issue, more specifically in Guyana, where a prominent artist there, Jaxx, has filed a lawsuit against telecommunications company One Communications in Guyana for copyright infringement. And we'll be talking with her and her manager, Mr. Ian Johnson, who are both on the line with us to discuss this issue. Jackie, welcome to the program.
Thank you very much for having me. I
Yes,
must say thank you to St. Kitts News because you guys reached out immediately. That's a
yes.
testament to your commitment to cover pertinent fact matters that are happening within the region, and I really appreciate that.
Yes, and it's a pleasure. It's our pleasure, and it's a pleasure for you to join us as well. And good day to Mr. Johnson, your manager, who's joined us on the phone.
Hi, good, and it's a pleasure being here. And I am thankful and grateful for this opportunity. You folks, um, are I want to say that you're better than Billy the Kid. You're faster than any other draw to get the news. So you've been on our case from day one, and
Well, thank you very
I'm
much.
happy to know that we can spend some time and discuss the matter with you today.
Certainly, and it's an important issue. It's not all the time we see this happening in the Caribbean, so certainly is an important issue for us here as well. All right, so Jackie, we'll start with you. I'm just going to read a few lines of the press release that was issued recently on this matter. Under the heading, U.S. Federal District Court issues summons for One Communications and Nikita in copy infringement case. And it reads, today, the Federal District Court for the Eastern District of New York issued summonses for One Communications Guyana, Inc., and Tanisha De Freitas, popularly known as Nikita, in the copyright case filed by Jackie Hanover, which is you, popularly known as Jackie Jaxx, and Ivan Harry, who performs as D. Ivan. Hanover and Harry filed their copyright infringement lawsuit on Friday, September 20th, 2024. The summonses were issued after the court reviewed the complaint. Now, I'm going to let you speak to exactly what led to this incident where you and Mr. D. Ivan filed this lawsuit against One Communications.
I am going to start at the beginning. In 1990, a Guyanese calypsonian, his name is D. Ivan Harry, he created a song called O Guyana. In 2016, 26 years later, I was inspired by that song to create a new song for Guyana's Golden Jubilee. So I took parts of his chorus as well as the melodic composition of the song. And his song, like I said, was a calypso. So I created a ballad. And it completely changed the trajectory of the song, but it still held the same vision, which was to celebrate Guyana, Guyana, our mother, Guyana, our country, Guyana, our pride. And this new song, of course, I got his permission to release, and we both share the songwriting, publishing equally. I went ahead and produced that version, paid for the production of that version, and published it along with the help of my manager, Mr. Johnson. So we own the song Guyana, while Mr. DeIvan owns O Guyana, and he also has part ownership in Guyana because he is listed as a writer as well. When we
Yes.
released that song, it went completely uh, crazy. The response to it was amazing. I was hired to sing it at the Embassy of Guyana in Washington, D.C. I sang it at the University of Maryland. I went to Beijing, China, and I sang it for the Beijing Horticultural Expo. And even more recently, I sang it at the inauguration of Guyana's current president. So the song took on a great cultural value for the country, and it catapulted me to a position of cultural ambassador for the country. So that's a position that I have been honored to play for in recent years with this song. Now, on September 6th, One Communications held a relaunch ceremony. I wasn't aware that it was happening, But I did become aware after I got several comments online, as well as from people who were there who would have asked me, how come Nikita was singing your song? So I said, what are you talking about? And they sent me the video. When I saw the video, I'm an artist. You know, I'm a Guyanese artist too, which I'm in a different struggle. And the investment of time, money, resources. I remember walking in the sun, going to a specific ministry to seek sponsorship to create this song, and them telling me, you're too late, we can't do anything for you. And as soon as the song was released, that was the first ministry to want to hire me to sing the song. And there were so many trials and tribulation that came up in the process of me releasing this song. My closest family member died the day before I released the song. So when I was singing the song in studio, to finish it, I was literally singing with tears in my eyes and I was crying. And a lot of people can tell me they feel that emotion. They feel that emotion when I sing it, when they listen to the song, because that's the emotional state of mind that I was in at the time. So, coming back, fast forwarding to September 6th, when I would have seen that video of One Communications broadcasting this song, Nikita singing it, I never knew this was going to happen. And everyone in Guyana is aware that I am affiliated with a main competitor of One Communications. It broke my heart. I'm going to be honest, it completely broke my heart because there has been a culture of disrespect that I believe emerged from the lack of enforcement of copyright laws in Guyana, lack of modernization of copyright laws in Guyana. So I immediately made a Facebook post asking why this was happening. Why did this happen? And I also spoke about the feeling that I felt that I was being marginalized for quite a bit of time because I try to advocate for standards for artists. And I believe that is what kickstarted all of this.
Now, when you first, and as you described how you felt at the time when you first became aware of Nikita performing this song, did you reach out, or did your management reach out to One Communication or to Nikita to find out, well, essentially, who gave you permission to do this song, or why didn't you contact me?
Well, after I'd made that post, One Communications reached out to us to speak with us, but we were not in a position to speak as yet. We needed advice from our lawyer first. So we got that advice from our lawyer, and our lawyer reached out to them.
Right.
And they expressed intent to negotiate with us. Those
Right.
negotiations because One Communications would have offered what I think is an insulting fee for the damages that were incurred, not only copyright infringement, but a possible uh, damage to my reputation as an artist, a possible damage to the relationship that I held with their competitor, because we were in the process of r- licensing these songs or seeking to license these songs in a long-term contract with a competitor, and so it could potentially damage that relationship because nobody gave permission for that, and now I have to figure out how to pick up the pieces and to still convince my affiliations that the song is still valuable to be used in this regard after it was broadcasted at the relaunch of One Communications, and it seems to be one of their team songs.
So let's be clear. The competitor that you're referring to, that we are affiliated with, they had permission to use the song for their branding of their product. And One Caribbean went and have an artist perform this very same song that is being used by their competitor.
Well, no, the
That's
only persons who have permission, it's myself and the other right holder.
okay.
However, my management and I are currently pursuing. contracts, a long-term contract with that affiliation. And it was our intention to take that song as the most valuable song in my catalog to potentially license it with that affiliation. But we didn't
And
even get the chance because this happened.
right, and I was just going to say it could potentially be impacted as a result of this situation.
Correct. Correct.
So that takes me to the next question, and I guess Mr. Johnson, you can also chime in here as well. The damages, based on the reports that we're seeing, suggests that it's a combined. Is it? And you could correct me if I'm wrong. 1.6 million US dollars is what's the combined figure that is being sought for as damages?
Our initial pitch when we were trying to negotiate with One Communication, we were saying, okay, let's just see if we could, settle this matter without escalating the situation. And we were asking for 250,000 US dollars as a compensation for the damages and the use of the song and all the other emotional and traumas that came around, and all the emotional exploits of the artist in that moment, because uh, we pitched that to them and that was turned down. Instead they offered 3,000 US dollars. I'm going to call the figures here. This is
3,000 US.
yeah, they offered
Um,
3,000, from 250 to 300,000, and we refused that. We give them some opportunity to go, and we renegotiate back with, because we were speaking with the lawyers. They speak back with the either the board or whoever it is makes the decision, and they didn't reply to our to the timeline that we had given them, and and here we are right now with with a bit serving them to in a with a new position, and that new position is no longer at $250,000, but there's a whole bunch of variables that you put together to get to the new numbers that we have right now.
and that number, just to be clear, is how much?
That number is 1.6 million US dollars.
1.6 million. Um, some people might say, Mr. Johnson, that figure is exorbitant. I mean, if it were a case where One Communication had hired Jackie to perform the song at their launch, it would be a fraction of that amount. What would you say to someone who says that that's an exorbitant figure and that may even suggests that there is some greed involved in this case?
Okay, I'm gonna switch you to another parallel right now. It was 53 seconds of Electric Avenue that our um, ex-president of the United States, who is now vying for re-election. It was 53 seconds of Electric Avenue, which was not deliberately played. Well, the perception of not being deliberately played or used. That music was in the background of his speech, whatever he was orating and saying, but because it was in the background and they used the same clip with a song in the background, the court of New York has just declared that Eddie Grant has been favored with with um, a decision in his favor for copyright violation over the ex-president Donald Trump, and that was 53 seconds of a song being played. Now, what was the value of the song being played in the background randomly? Let's just say even if it was a car passing that was playing that song, right? The person wasn't hired to do that. I don't know the situation that how the song ended up in the background of President Trump's deliberation, but from that scenario, his lawyers framed an infringement case, and they won. He wasn't hired for it, and 53 seconds of the song, if you to compute it in terms of if a song download is 99 cents, and if you're going to say the song is 3 minutes and they only use a minute of the song, then by logics or mathematically, the value of that song is supposed to be 33 cents because it's 99 cents a download. And unfortunately, in the copyright world, values of stuff don't be based on those actual, what is it, the real numbers of the stuff. And even if Jackie was hired for the stuff and they did pay her 2,000 US dollars, and she went and sang, that would have been a straight transaction. Now we're
Right.
talking here about a violation of somebody's right. We're talking here about the emotional damages that are caused here. We're talking here about economic losses. We're talking here about so many other stuff. We're talking here about the violation of someone's right to get permission to transmit their music over the internet and over and all the different places that this thing would have been connecting. All that is a cost, right? And that all that need permission for you to transmit somebody work over the internet or over satellite and all those kind of stuff. All that is a cost because when somebody hire you, matter of fact, if you read the contracts that we give to people when they hire us, we give them stuff. Even though it's a small cost that is in the hiring, but we give permission with from the fact of hiring that you can do all this. You can exploit the music in terms of cutting it up using the artist's imagery and cutting up our videos to promote whatever it is that you're promoting. So in one case we give permission for it, and it might not be $1.6 million worth to say, okay, we charge him 1.6 million to do all of this. But when there's a violation, there are also a whole bunch of, you know, penalties that come in the situation. You know, just like a simple case of you're not paying your electricity bill on time, right? When you go to pay it back again, there's a penalty that has been added on to your bill. So it's no longer $300 anymore. The penalties and stuff, and if you wait too long, they add a whole bunch of other stuff on top of it. So $300 is no longer $300 anymore. There's a new figure that comes because there was a violation of you not upholding your commitment to pay your bill on time.
Yeah.
So in the music
Jack,
world, there are certain standards, and all lawyers have different way how they could stress and express this stuff. This is not so much. I'm not the the the
the legal
attorney
person.
here, but
Right.
the legal person. But they know all the different stuff that they could use to put a value on a violation, and that's what he did.
And has One Communications responded since or said anything to you or Jackie since the filing of the lawsuit?
No, they have made their statements openly that they're investigating and they're checking, and then we had the recently the New York court has assigned a judge to it, and we have filed that summons to One Communication. They received it, and in that summons it says okay they have 21 days to respond. So and then we're going to see what's going to happen in that time.
When you first became aware of the issue of the copyright infringement, what were your thoughts initially, and what was going through your mind at the time?
You can't fight no case if the artist or whoever it is that you're working with doesn't want to take the fight. She was upset about the matter and asked what we can do about it. So I gave her the options, and she said, "Let's go. Let's do it." And I contacted my lawyer to get the ball rolling in connection with how we can frame the situation.
Yeah.
It was a simple case. A lot of companies in Guyana, and a lot of folks basically in Guyana has dumbed themselves when it comes to copyright. There's been doing violations for years, you know, so it's become a norm. So the word copyright doesn't really bring any fear or let's say any type of feelings to people because it has been years of doing the wrong that the wrong became right after the probably 5, 6, 7, 8 years, you know, but now it's kind of chronic. So it's been many years that Guyana has been and corporate and companies in Guyana and other individuals has been violating other people's um, of the people's property, and because we always have this talk that Guyana ain't get copyright, which is not true. We still have an old model of the copyright, which is 1960. It probably didn't cover a whole bunch of stuff like YouTube streaming and all that kind of stuff, but there is a copyright law in Guyana. How much of it is being enforced? Um, I would say zero, because I haven't seen a copyright case in Guyana for a very long, long while. And even if you
Mhm.
try to frame a case in Guyana, then the old copyright law did when it was out. We didn't had social media and all them kind of stuff back when those stuff were implemented. So it would be difficult to frame a social media case with the use of high speed technology, which didn't exist. Well, it wasn't commercialized back in. It might probably existed, but it wasn't on a commercial. It wasn't on this level as we are experiencing internet speeds and them kind of stuff. I can remember in
Right.
the early days of internet and dial up, you had to wait until all the noise finished before you could actually hear somebody. We don't do that right now.
Mhm.
Everything is lightning speed right now. 5G technology, even though some of it is compromising Guyana in terms of the speed, but some of these platforms didn't exist. There was no YouTube nor Facebook. My earliest time was MySpace and High Five and those
Right.
kind of early platforms. But
Mhm.
even onto those platforms wasn't covered under the Copyright Act for Guyana, because that was framed since in the 1960s, when all these things were not part of what's happening. These are the days when you used to pay radio license and TV license and them kind of stuff. We don't do them
Right.
stuff anymore.
Right. So that's the reason why. So that's the main reason why then the case was brought to the United States, and also because of the fact that her music is registered in the U.S. So my next question to you then is, and some people who are just layman might argue, well, how then are you going to charge OneCom for an infringement that took place in Ghana when the law really it's registered in the U.S. and it's applicable more in a U.S. setting? Is that the case with Jackie?
Like I said, the framework of Guyana is since in the 1960s, so it is difficult to actually to frame um, that kind of a language for the kind of use of the material that was violated. Because as displayed on the 6th of September. The stuff was transmitted via internet on different platforms across the world,
Mm-hmm.
to probably appease the the 2.8 or 9 million Guyanese in the diaspora, whatever were the intentions of the company. I don't really know. But what I'm certain of is that nobody seek to ask permission to use of the music or have clearance to use the music, which was the property of Jackie and the Ivan.
Right.
So
How much do
the,
you
the, the,
think?
the copyright of the song is with Library of Congress in the U.S., because the Ivan is a U.S. citizen, and the song is written by Jackie and the Ivan, which is Ivan
Mhm.
Harry. So from the inception of the burden of this song, it was two writers, and they both share 50% in the writing of the song. So he's a U.S. citizen. Jackie is a Guyanese citizen. As a matter of fact, he's dual citizen. He's a retiree from the U.S. He goes back and forth Guyana to New York.
Yeah. How much do you think a case like this, will impact the creative space in Ghana when it comes to copyright laws? And because what you said earlier about people saying that there are no copyright laws in Ghana, I've heard that expression, being in Ghana a few times, and people just not having much regard for copyright laws and infringement of creative work, especially music. So how much do you think this will impact change when it comes to creatives and their and protection of their work in Ghana?
There's much work to be done in Guyana, and one, like I said before, because copyright has been something that no one pays any mind to. The the education concerning copyright is an issue. Not much people in the business of music um, try to understand the business of music. A lot of people in the music business just because they want to probably want a quick popularity or because I could sing, but not many concentrate on how the business as an industry, or business that who can change the platform of a country, affect your GDP because business, the music can now be a commodity that you can export to different regions and bring an income into the country. I don't think we normally think about music in Guyana along those lines, as music can be just as great as our rice, bauxite, and even gold, and recently oil. But we don't think about music as being a kind of commodity that will help to increase the GDP of our country. We just do music as like a hustle. So we just like hustle the thing because no, our foreparents and people before us been screaming copyright to protect our intellectual right, and nobody. And it's not just this present government. All the governments that came before did the same thing, play a blind ear to intellectual property. So the blame is not, some people, I hear some people screaming, okay, the government, but it's not just this present government played a blind ear to the copyright. That has been years of struggle trying to see how you could establish it. And after a while, I believe that some folks just give up on the fact that, something, this copyright thing ain't gonna happen. So let's just forget, let's just forget it. So
Mhm.
I don't
Yeah.
know what's the situation, but I know for certain that I heard the cry of my artist, and I with her, I wanted to see what recourse we can take. I brought it to the lawyer, and he decided that might be the best option for us in a matter like this. First of all, we had to prove that they own the material and they were the rightful owner or copyrighted owner for the material, and then he proceeded with all the different stages that came after that.
Well, Jackie, before we end this part of the interview, I mooted this question earlier to Mr. Johnson, and I would like to ask you this: Where do you think, or what impact do you think this lawsuit will have, especially if it's successful, on creatives in Guyana? Because earlier in our conversation, we talked about how Guyanese view um, copyright infringement and work, using work of creatives without permission. How do you think this would, in any way, positively or negatively impact creatives in Guyana?
Well, first, let me say that this song was used, I believe, because of the cultural impact that it has. Everyone knows this song. It's sung in churches, in schools, every Republic Day on Independence. This song is what people call the unofficial national anthem. It's the second national anthem. So the parties who would have infringed on our right, I believe, were very aware of the significance of this song and how it would add value to them, their brand, and their event. And if they can infringe on a song of this magnitude, of this cultural significance, it tells you that the disrespect is extremely strong when it comes to Guyanese creatives and the corporate world and just Guyana in general. If they can disrespect a song of this magnitude, then imagine what is happening to people whose song is not as known. So I personally believe that the disrespect against Guyanese artists, it's not just in the infringing of our copyrights and the misuse and the theft of our music, it also manifests in the way that we are treated at events, the way people choose to dishonor our work contracts, not provide efficient facilities for us to work. They don't want to pay us fairly so that musicians and artists in Guyana can actually sustain a lifestyle. I can tell you that I am one of the artists, one of the leading artists in the country, and I still had to find many ways to supplement my income. I had to exploit my other talents as a visual artist, sell paintings, sell merchandise, and I had to do so much more so I can earn as an artist because the radio is playing my music. I'm not earning any royalties. I have had over 10 to 15 jingles on Guyanese radio station within the past 10 years, and I was never paid any royalties for the constant plays of them on the radio. I've seen my music played on push carts, people selling them in CDs, and I wasn't offered not even a cent from it. So the disrespect is all across the board for artists. I don't think people think we deserve to eat. I think Guyanese believe that they are entitled to enjoy our creations and our work for free, and we should find other ways to earn. They will often tell us, oh, y'all should go to America, you should go to the US in order to earn. And I say that's unfair. If my work is consumed and enjoyed here, I should be earning right here. So I believe that this case will completely change the landscape of copyrights and how creative people are treated in Guyana. It will force companies to clear music before they use it on their shows, on their events. It will force artists to have to look at their work contracts and see if they are being treated fairly. It will force promoters to increase their standards and how they treat local artists in Guyana. And my intention is that we are respected as creatives. There is a term that you call starving artists. I don't ever want to hear that term again in my life because artists invest so much time, talent, money, and resources that we don't often have to make music and other forms of art for the people of our country to enjoy. And we should be able to live sustainably, to even create wealth from our intellectual wealth. And the fact that this has never happened, and for a Guyanese living in Guyana, is a testament to the amount of work we need to do. So I am looking at a complete overall. I'm looking at copyright enforcement and change for Guyana as it relates to copyright and the treatment and the disrespect of artists and creatives in Guyana.
All right. Well, we're going to leave it right there. But I'll ask Mr. Johnson if he has any final words before we wrap up.
Jackie said by saying that we are looking for an overall on a modern copyright act that can protect us on the various new technologies that have been developed since the 1966 draft of the copy that Guyana is currently using, and we would add to that, since we left with our pants down right now, we'd want to add to that and any other form that will be created in the future, because we don't know what's going to happen in the future. I think we weren't back in the 60s. There wasn't forward thinking um, into 2G, 3G, and 4G, and Cisco networks and all that kind of stuff. But since we know that there are possibilities that this landscape can just change with new technology, that we protect ourselves in Guyana, not because we are a third world country, or we are a nation that is poised to be the next best tourism spot. I want to punch that in right now. That's one of the things that we're trying to promote, that Guyana is the next best tourism spot that people can come and enjoy a land of rich in so many diversities. It's rich in the hospitality from the people, the minerals, birds, and so many other natural resources that we have that we can showcase to the world. And what we want to do is, as they project and elevate all these different things that they want to excite people to come together to see, they can also at the same time elevate and promote the Guyanese artists and our music, so that the rest of the world will know that we are in in par with what's happening on the other side of the world, and the treatment that they give to the foreign acts will be something that the Guyanese artists will now enjoy equally and fairly as they do all the other nations that come in together to perform. They have the best treatment. Foreigners have the best treatment. The Guyanese artists are treated like if it doesn't exist. However, some promoters do go beyond the regular standards and show some respect. I don't want to call name, but there are some that do show respect to some Guyanese artists, and I want to put a thumbs up for them. But generally across the board, it is always like if you're doing the artist a favor, right? And the Guyanese artists should be able to comfortably, as Jackie said earlier, be able to use their gifting and don't have to seek alternative jobs just to stay and do something that they love. If you're a musician, I'm supposed to be a guitarist and still be able to buy a house and to own stuff. If I'm a writer, still should be able to write and make my gifts make way for me. But if structure's not there in our environment, none of these things that you could plan and imagine that you can have greatness with will happen if the people that were responsible. And here again, I want to reiterate that all the governments in Guyana from the beginning of time, since I know myself in independence, have neglected the Guyanese artists and the creative people to giving them protection for their creative works and their intellectual property, so that at some point in time, their work will have some tangible value. Because I believe without copyright and without the protection of your works, then there is no you can't really add a value to it, because everybody going to come and abuse it, and then we will be at this point. And I want to use this opportunity to really commend Jackie for her bravery, because I've worked with a lot of artists and not all of them. I want to put it this way. I want to be very local. Not all of them had the balls like Jackie to say let's do this. You always come up with something, and they chicken out before you even try to make a step. They are afraid of the backlash, of the ostracizing. But somebody going to victimize them, and you're going to be sidelined. They're afraid of all the different things that may possibly happen. So they just bury it. And I tell you, big, strong guys, made bodybuilding guys. So I want to commend Jackie, because she's a woman that carry. Well, I want it. This is international news. She's a woman with balls, and I commend her for that.
Right. Well, Jackie, on that note, and I was going to ask it actually, Jackie, to give us your final words, but as your manager was speaking, I should have asked you as well what the response has been to this news of the lawsuit. It's still fresh in a lot of people's minds. It's unprecedented because, as your manager pointed out, you're one of the first, or not the first artist in Guyana to take up this challenge. What has been the response from people in general?
So many messages and so many comments from regular citizens of who say, I stand with you. We stand with you. It's time that someone stands up against the system. We so many of us are victimized in our jobs and underpaid, severely underpaid, and we are ostracized, Mr. Johnson said, or blacklisted if we say anything. So the Guyanese people are completely behind me. Of course, there are a few who do not understand the matter, and they are trying to deflect from the matter, but most of the Guyanese people are completely behind us. And some of the artists, I cannot lie that I'm appointed by the fact that some major producers, record label owners in Guyana have been completely silent on this matter. They have said nothing, and these are people who would have claimed to advocate for artists' rights before. But here is an opportunity for you to actually fight those rights, and people are completely silent. I don't know if it's because of their business affiliations or if they too are afraid of the backlash. But some artists, a small percentage of them, have joined us, and I must thank that small percentage of people because it is emboldening, it is strengthening us, it is pushing the mandate forward and helping me and Mr. Johnson and my lawyer and everyone else involved in this to take a stand because time has to change.
All right, and thank you, the viewers, for watching this special interview here on SKN Newsline. Do stay tuned to SKN Newsline for the latest in news, not only in St. Kitts Nevis, but right across the Caribbean. I'm Andre Huey. I was your host.